Welcome to another episode of the Wholesale Elite Podcast. I am Isham Hipshire. I'm here with my main man, Tanner Santucci. And guys, if you're not looking at the screen right now, we have the GOAT in the building. The GOAT is in the building, Mr. Jamil Damji. Welcome to the Wholesale Elite Podcast, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic, brother. Happy to be here. I'm loving your podcast, and I think it's a great concept, and I'm honored that you guys asked me to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Well, we're definitely honored that you took the time out of your day to join us and to drop some golden nuggets. And you know, I was on your show fairly recently, and I was able to share my story, which I'm super grateful for that. It's really cool to hear it. I was actually listening to it this morning in the shower, like, man, this is trippy hearing myself on a podcast. But I thank you for giving me that opportunity to tell that story. To the Moon is
super fun.
Absolutely. To the Moon is the name of the show for anyone who isn't aware. It's one of Jamil's mini podcasts where he essentially has students from his Astro flipping mentorship community program coaching on to talk about all their successes and what's been happening in their life. And so it was really cool to be on there. And man, to have you on this show is going to be exciting for us because I've always, man, I've wanted to climb into your brain and ask you a ton of questions that I really couldn't ask you, on our coaching calls because I don't want to take up the time. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Great.
I was telling Tanner that, ordinarily these shows, we really want to kind of find the person's origin story and really dive in and ask all those questions. But, you did a great episode a while back with Max Maxwell where you told your story. And then more recently, I haven't seen it yet, but I saw your post about there's another podcast that you did recently where you told your story. I'm assuming a little more in depth. And so for this one, I'm thinking that Tanner and I can be a little selfish and do something different and actually almost get like a live coaching session on Wax. And so we're definitely still going to dive into a lot of mindset stuff, but I want people to understand what it's like to be coached by you. I want the listeners to really get a good feeling of what it's like when you actually have a mentor that won't bullshit you. That will tell you straight up, and one that you can be real with, one you don't feel like you have to bring this false person to the table, because you're best when people come to you naked, just wide open.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are, brother. So I'd like to, Tanner, I know I didn't give you much of a heads up on
I'm
this.
just vibing. Don't worry about me.
That's what's up, man. I'd like to, first off, Jamil, just kind of get to know what's your morning routine like?
So it's really structured. Pace and I travel around the country a lot. And so the time of my morning routine has to adjust depending on where I am in the country or what's happening in the day. But the things that I do in the morning are just non-negotiable. I do the same thing every morning, every day. And it sets me up for the day. And if for whatever reason one of these things is missing, it's like, I'm off. I'm off for the rest of the day, and it doesn't feel good, and I don't enjoy it. So first things first, I wake up in the morning, and before I even typically open my eyes, like my eyes will probably like G.O.A.T at 6 hours after I fall asleep, I'm up. Can't sleep longer than 6 hours any night. So at the 6 hour point, I don't even typically need an alarm. I'm up, and I'll typically reclose my eyes, and just for a moment, I give thanks. I just give thanks for the day, for the breath, for life, and waking up another one, not having passed on, due to heart attack or some other weird thing that could happen to you while you sleep. But grateful for the next day. And then I set an intention. I set an intention for the day. And for me, it's usually to align with the highest level of consciousness that I have, that's available to me. That's, I know that might sound like, oh, that's really like, ambiguous, but it's not. I believe in levels of consciousness. I think we all have different and can live in and live through and talk through and be on different levels of consciousness throughout a day. And your level of consciousness will fluctuate throughout the entire day, right? So to give you an example of like what a level of consciousness is, if you're in joy and gratitude, in happiness, and you're just feeling light and you're at a high level of consciousness, something could happen and it's like somebody could step on your toe or somebody could cut you off, but you're just so elated in everything that's happening in your life that it wouldn't even phase you. It couldn't even like adjust you because your level of consciousness is vibrating and escalating at a high level. Whereas you may be at a lower level of consciousness where you are feeling discombobulated or grouchy and negative, and something could happen, like someone cut you off in traffic and you could turn into a road rage incident, and so the same person can be at multiple levels of consciousness, and we fluctuate on these levels of consciousness throughout a day. And so it's important to know that. And for me, I want to align to the highest level of consciousness available to me at any given time. So that's the one, that's the intention I set, right? And then I will take some breaths. I'll just follow my breath and just get in my body, feel the tension. I wake up sore every day. I've been in multiple car accidents. And so my body is not the most enjoyable place to be sometimes. And I just put attention on the soreness. I put attention into the joints that aren't feeling, awesome. And I just love on them. I just let that attention sit in there for a moment. And, while I adjust and crack and crickle and all the things that you do. And once that's done, that's when I hop out of bed. Right. And, I do my normal bathroom things. And typically I like to multitask. So when that's happening, I have a vision board in front of my toilet, oddly enough. And I stare at that for a couple of minutes and I just get right with my goals. I get right with what my purpose and what I've been trying to accomplish for the last few years has been. And that vision board hasn't changed in the last few years. And I see it every single day. It's sun bleached now because there's a window in my little commode room. It's sun bleached from just having been there for so long. Once that's done, I head over into the kitchen. I pour myself a cup of coffee and I get a liter of Fiji water. I get all of my vitamins that I take in supplements in the morning, and I drink the liter of water because that water is incredibly important to just lubricate the rest of the day. And get
Fiji's dope water too. Oh,
pardon me?
Good. Fiji is the best water.
Yeah, I believe in high quality water. I think it's important that you don't drink tap water. I think, if you've ever watched any documentaries on the memory that water has, the molecule itself can hold a lot of memory, and the process and the path that the water can take to get from wherever it's coming from to your glass is really important. Has it gone through a lot of chemical processes? Had it gone through a lot of mechanical processes? Has it been touched by a lot? The energy and the emotions of the people that it passed through, it holds it. And so it's important that your water be as close to the source as possible. And, Fiji, although it's expensive, it's delicious. And on top of that, it's bottled at the source, and then it finds its way to a box, and then, a distributor, and then it onto a shelf, and then into my house. And so I like to drink high quality water. A liter of it, really important to get that in your body. And once that's done, once I've finished the liter of water and the supplements, I put my running shoes on and I head over to the elliptical machine and I start my workout. That lasts an hour. And once that is done, now my day starts.
So what time do you get up then? Because that sounds like a long time. So what's that time frame?
So 3 hours before I have my first thing starts.
Gotcha. Were you always talking about, conscience and mindset and all that stuff? Were you always that type of person growing up, or is that something you've adapted from over the years?
No, it's something I learned. It became a part of my reality as I understood more of the reality that we live in. I have witnessed and experienced some incredible things about this planet and our experience here. And I can tell you the thing that I learned that is the highest truth that I know to this point is that we're just an energy soup.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And we're living in an energy soup. And, you know, even though we feel like it's everything separate and we feel like, you know, we're like kind of alone and we're like these isolated islands of emotions and bones, we're not. We're really just energy soup. And it's that always. So whatever you are is intermingling with the things that you're coming into contact with. And those things are intermingling with you. And you affect them and they affect you. And so it's important that whatever you are or whatever energy you're emitting or whatever frequency or vibration you're emitting be the highest level it can be, so that you affect things in a more profound way. Because the way that frequency and vibration work is when something's vibrating higher and it comes across something that's vibrating lower. So like say the frequency of this vibration is escalated, right? Versus something else. Well, you can actually change the vibration of something that's vibrating lower by just being what you are. And you can lift other things with you as you are moving through the world and doing your thing. And so I think of that. I think and pay attention to that because it has shown me that it's real.
Is there a counter to that? Like, could you, if you are vibrating at a high level, but let's say it's not a strong vibration, could you be pulled down?
I
by
don't think that
someone
you can vibrate at a high level and not be strong.
Ah, okay.
I think that when you escalate to that point, it's strong. It emits. It's not possible for it not to. It can't be weak and it can't be weak and high at the same time.
I see. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just to kind of piggyback on Tanner's question. So I had a conversation with, I want to say his name was Albero.
Mm-hmm.
Albero. Yeah. Childhood friend of yours. He
Yep.
told me when we were in Phoenix, and I was like, bro, I'm just dying to know. I was like, what was Jamil like when you guys were younger? And he's like, he's the same way he is now. Like as far as ambition goes.
Yeah, it's just that I was focused in a different direction then, right? Because we were all gangsters growing up. We were all little G's, you know. And so I was an ambitious person. My friends will all say to you he was going to be something. He always knew that he was destined for the top, right? And that's a fact. I don't believe that I ever walked around in the world like, oh yeah, I'm going to end up a slouch or I'm going to end up just average. You know, I have a level of self-belief that regardless of what's in front of me, I was going to be the top of whatever that was going to be.
What do you credit that self-belief or what do you credit, happening in your life to bring you there?
Well, I think initially my mom, my mom and my sister, they were always my mom's a positive lady. She's a real go-getter, a real ambitious woman. And she just, not ambitious like she was ambitious for the world. She just was like, my mom doesn't sit down, she's still to this day. She moves around. She's 80 years old. She's moving around the house like you'd be like, oh, you'd get tired watching her. She's just, from cooking to cleaning to this to that to laundry to that. She's just going, right. She's for 80 years old. She's phenomenal. My sister too always believed in me. Always thought I was the coolest person, and she always made me believe that anything I put my mind to, I had the ability to accomplish. And even as a child, like I would put my head on, if I decided I wanted to do something, there was no stopping me. And they would recognize that as a feature of mine growing up. Just like, oh, this he can get obsessed. He can get obsessed and then relentless. And it's absolutely translated into my life today. I get so laser focused that I almost, it's there, and it's to my detriment too, right?
Sure.
So I could get focused on something and my entire house could be burning down and I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I feel that pain for sure.
Yeah.
But that's also what makes you and why you're so successful, is because not everyone has that focus, right? And obviously you're around, listening to you on other podcasts and the coaching calls and all that. Like you explain, you and Pace always talk about leveling up the people you're surrounded with, right? And do you see those people that maybe you look up to? Because I'm sure there's someone, or maybe not even more successful or anything, just someone you look up to in general. Do you see that you're on their level in terms of focus, or is there something you're always trying to improve to get to where they are? Maybe get, what the person you look up to is at.
I think what's funny is that being around people that you would say monetarily maybe are more successful than me, like they've got more money than me, or they've got more fame than me, or they've got a higher position in business than I do. Looking at my qualities and their qualities, the core difference is our target was different.
Ooh. Can you explain?
Yeah. So I'm at my target. And the problem is not that it's an issue, but like, holy crap, I fucked up. I shot too low.
Right.
You know, when 2008 happened and I got reset to like -2 million, right? And I didn't even go to zero. And most people are like, oh yeah, I started at nothing. I was like, yeah, I was like -2 million, below nothing. Right. So when I came out of 2008 with a $1.8 million judgment against me, and I had to crawl out of that, I had a goal to get back everything I lost. Should have had a bigger goal, because I got it all back, and a little bit more. But like, if I had really shot and if I had said, yeah, man, my goal is going to be $1 billion, I'd have it right now.
So what's keeping you from getting that $1 billion now?
Oh, nothing. I got new goals. I have new goals. It's just that everything takes time.
Yep.
Sure. I think the other piece that a lot of folks forget is that you set a goal, and then you think, oh yeah, I set a goal and I said that it's going to happen by this time, and that's cute. It's not your timing.
Right.
It's never your timing. That's in God's hands. That's in life's hands. That's in the unfolding of the mystery of this all. That is not my decision on when. I'm just going to continue to I'm going to keep my goal, and I'm going to continue to show up, and I'm going to continue to do the things that are going to push me towards that goal. And I'm going to collaborate with my goal, and I'm going to have my eyes on the target, and I'm going to say yes to the opportunities that I think could get me there. And I'm going to take the necessary steps that I see illumined that are going to push me towards that goal that I've set. And that's what's going to get me there. I think the problem that a lot of people have is that they stick a personal timeline on it. They're like, oh, by this time this is going to happen. And then it doesn't happen by that time. And then they lose belief in themselves. And then they lose belief in the manifestation process. And then they lose belief in their ability to achieve and reach and hit goals. And so then, what happens? All of that negativity results in a quitting.
Yep. So you're saying that when you set goals, you shouldn't put a timeline on it.
I mean, I think that you can set some like top line goals, high level goals. I don't know that it's the best thing to, and you could put a time on it just to say, hey, I'm sticking a time on it because it's helpful to me, but don't be married to that. And when you blow past that time and it takes longer, that it's going to.
Yep.
Right. So yep. Be flexible with yourself. Be flexible and know that, like, yes, you're going to get the things that you're looking for. Yes, your desires will be met as you collaborate with your desires and push towards them and do the things that are necessary to achieve those things. Because we don't live in a wishing well.
Right.
We live in a collaborative manifestation universe. Where you have to do something. You got to create it in your mind. You have to have an emotional attachment to that creation, and then you have to step towards it and be relentless with stepping towards it. And then the goal being achieved is guaranteed.
When you so you said you have a vision board, and you also said you have a vision board that's sun bleached, so it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit deeper on the power of vision boards and maybe what those have done for you? And yes, they're obviously important, but how important are they?
I mean, I think it's a tool. It's not some people will be like, I have a vision board and nothing happened. Like for instance, my wife, she's got one. She never looks at it. I don't even think she knows where it is. Right. I'm not saying that to diminish her goals or like what she, but I can probably say that she hasn't accomplished the things that were possibly on there. Right. So just making a vision board ain't nothing. So I think they're important, but the visuals are great, and the visuals are important to see and to know, like, oh yeah, so this is the target. This is my target. This is my target. I'm moving towards my target. You still have to focus on them, remind yourself of them, have that intention to hit those targets and goals, and then get unrelenting with how you're going to move towards them. I think that's the missing link for a lot of folks too, is just it's going to take work.
Yeah,
that's the part. The work part is just, you guys see the amount of effort I'm putting into life. For people who are tuning in that don't know me much, if you paid attention to my social media for a week, I would exhaust you just watching me.
Yep.
You'll laugh your ass off too, by the way.
I try for that.
You're quite the clever guy with some of these ads you're putting out. Come on now. Yeah.
They're fun.
That new one you just put out, I saw the picture of it and I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. We'll see how that one performs. I don't know.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about like what's your goal now, right? Like you said, you still have goals. Can you give us an example of maybe what one of those goals would be?
Yeah. So one of my goals right now that I haven't hit is an independence where I'm moving around the world with my wife and enjoying time with her and exploring the relationship that I want to have with her at a deeper and more refined level. Because right now, I'm in growth phase. I'm pushing. I'm like pushing like a 2-year-old right now. Like you can't. I'm gonna get my way, right? So she's not in my way. She's like right now. She's just like, go on,
Right.
She's not trying to be a part. She's not trying to be in my way. She's not trying to create any obstacles for me. She's my greatest support. Like she's just like, okay, how can I be helpful? How can I be a support system to him? And how can I then get out of his way so he can do the thing he's going to do?
Was she always like that? Was she always supportive?
She's the shit, dude. My wife is,
I love that,
the most incredible human being when it comes to just like support. And she's such a calm woman too. Like she's really, my wife's heart beats at like 53 beats a minute.
Love that.
I mean, that's it. Think of that. That's like 20 beats per minute slower than most people's.
Right.
Her blood pressure is like 60/80.
Nice.
Like it's like she's got low blood pressure, a low heart rate. Like my wife is just like calming. She's steady. She's steady and that's so different from me, right? I'm like, So it's interesting, but we manage really well together.
So what's it like being a super busy person who gives a damn about their family, and doesn't want their kids to just see them as this provider, but someone who's actually there, someone who's actually present. I've never met your daughter, but I know her name, Charisma, right?
I've got two, Taylor and Charisma.
Okay.
Charisma lives with her mom in Canada. And so, sadly, I don't see her as much as I would like to. I'm not with her day to day. So, her and I FaceTime as often as we can, and we talk a lot. We have a really deep and beautiful relationship. Awesome. But, her and I too don't have a day-to-day correspondence. It's just, it's not there. So I've had that luxury of that not being something that I'm missing in my day-to-day life because she's not here. Right. I'm not absent from her life because she's not physically in front of me to be absent from. Right. And when she does visit, that's when I'm really focused on her. And so my life does tend, when Charisma comes to town, everybody knows, oh, Jamil's focused on his daughter right now. So like I cancel everything.
For sure.
I push everything off. I'm like, nope, everything else can F off. I've got her right now. So then I'm like tunnel vision on her, and then she leaves and then I'm like back in life. Yeah. And so that's how it goes. And with Taylor, my soon to be 17-year-old, she's almost 17, right? So it's not like she's just like, spend time with me. Right. she's not in that phase of life right now, right? She's in that like, say, hey, me and my friends are leaving right now and we're going to take the car, like she's 17, she's doing 17-year-old stuff. So I'm lucky. I'm fortunate because I don't have really young kids right now that are jockeying for my attention. I've got a fairly open runway of time and opportunity family wise to explore life and to grow. I think the hardest thing that I'm dealing with right now is just with the commitment that I have to the Astro community, with the commitments that I have to promoting the television show and creating it, with the commitments I have to KeyGlee and being a founder and a provider and a resource for that company as well. The time that I get to spend with my wife is limited. And so that right now is the one piece where I think that I could probably do some better work to make sure that I'm showing up for her a little more,
When you mentioned a while back, and you said it in passing, you, as far as I know, you are not a braggadocious type person, but you said it in context. But you had mentioned that you had made your take home was close to $500,000 that month.
Yep.
And that was, that was mind blowing for me. But, after I, shook that one off and realized this is a reality for you. You also told a story later on about how you were sitting with people who were, I want to say they were making like $1 million a day, or it was some crazy number. And that's when almost a light bulb went off for you that like, man, I'm not thinking big enough. What do you think that you'll ever get to the point to where enough is enough? And I hate to ask that question, but I'd love to hear your answer.
I don't know that, like, it's not so much about like how much, because I don't spend what I make.
Right.
Not even close. I'm a simple guy, right? Like you guys see, I have simple tastes. You don't see me flossing around in $1 million vehicles, and I don't live on a in a $30 million house or anything like that. I just got simple tastes. I got pretty standard. I mean, I have nice things. My home is beautiful. I live in a great neighborhood. I drive the car I want to drive. If I wanted to drive $1 million car, I could, but I don't want to. I like what I drive. I like, my Ford Bronco. It's cool, so I just do my thing. So it's not about like accumulating, but I think that's how we keep score here.
Absolutely.
So I'm in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's like, when is enough enough? It's not about enough. It's just like, oh, I'm in the game when we're still keeping score. So away we go.
Where we go. Well, I want to ask you a little bit more, kind of not so much on the mindset and stuff, but more on the TV show. Could you tell us, you got the third season releasing, correct?
Second season
in December, right?
Correct,
so
yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about the TV show and your experiences doing that, and what's that like?
Yeah, it's fun, man. Like a TV show opens up more doors than you could ever imagine, right? So there's people that I would have never been able to talk to that will take my call now because I have a TV show. Right. It's just what it is, right? So in terms of social credibility, nothing like it. In terms of time commitment, nothing like it. It's the most taxing and committing thing that we do all day, hands down.
So what's the schedule like of that then? I mean,
it's like it's 6 to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And then I have other things I got to do,
right?
Which is like, why on a Tuesday when I'm filming, I'll have come from an 8-hour shoot, 10-minute break in between, hop onto a call and run 5 to 6 hours on a coaching call.
Yep.
You can imagine what that feels like at the end of that day. Because that is truly 14 hours of straight work.
Yep.
No stopping.
Yeah, that's I'm like 12-hour days now, but like, I mean, you're talking like 4 hours straight on the phone. I'm like, whew, you're building that endurance. So I couldn't even imagine doing like what you're saying, 6 to 8 hours of a TV show. I mean, I can imagine, but not, I'm not at the place there yet. So that's just a testament to you.
If it ends up being your life, you'll do it.
Exactly.
You do what's important to you. That's another thing I've really realized. It's like the TV show is important to me. I enjoy working with Pace. I enjoy working with my sister. I enjoy working with Laura. I get to see my wife on it every once in a while. We love the houses. We love, beautifying homes. We like fixing and flipping. It's real estate. It's what we do. It's great. So that's fun. And our crew is phenomenal. Like we have a beautiful crew, right down to our production assistants. They're all incredible human beings, right? So we show up for them because it's a part of their livelihood. It's a part of what keeps them employed. We show up for ourselves because we enjoy being in a creative process. We show up for each other. I love hanging out with Pace. I love hanging out with Rahima and Laura. We show up for the network. We appreciate the amount of resources and energy that they're putting in behind our show. We show up for the production company because we know how hard it is to keep all these moving pieces together. And last thing they need is some diva celebrity or some diva talent coming in and messing things up for them, right? So there's commitments you make, and then you show up for those commitments. And so that's a part of what we do every single day when we come to set. And those are the people and those are the things that we keep in mind when we're there, right? That like, hey, you're not just here alone, bro. You've got so many people here that are counting on you to do your best. So buck up and do it.
For sure. How did this TV show idea come about? I mean, it
was never an idea of ours. Like we didn't go out shooting or shopping a TV show. They came knocking on our door. Yeah, so they came knocking on our door after watching a video on Pace's YouTube video or YouTube channel of him and I walking a house that we were going to fix and flip together. And our personalities just caught them. They were like, there was a lot of humor, just what we do, right? Just being goofy and funny and having a laugh with what we were encountering in the house. And the producer saw it and they were like, these two are fun. We got to get them on our network. And so they came chasing us down. And at first we all thought it was fake, right? We were like, oh, there's no way this isn't really a network. It's like, because when you start to get some level of notoriety or you start to gain some following on social media, production companies reach out to you all the time. But for the most part, they're fake. Or they're like, they want you to pay for something. They want you to pay to shoot a pilot. They want you to pay to, do this. And so it's just like, it's this big rope-a-dope scam that a lot of people get caught up in, especially social media influencers who are trying to chase fame. Yep. They become easy targets for these fake production companies or these like baby production companies that have no money, no connections, and no budgets to come in and try and extract 50,000 or 100,000 from some schmuck who's got money but wants eyeballs.
Yeah.
Interesting. If we could switch gears just a little bit and I want to go a little bit dark right now and just to help some people out. But what is one of the most memorable failures, for lack of better words, that you've had in real estate, and how did you get out of that?
Well, the most, glaringly terrible failures I had was bankrupting my parents, right? Losing everything for them. And I spent the latter part of the last 10 years owning that and atoning for it and making up for it tenfold. So I got my family involved in some development projects, and I had my parents both co-sign those construction loans. And when the real estate market tanked, and we were holding a lot of subject to properties, which is again why I'm, I never want this to be taken away like, oh, Jamil doesn't love sub two. I love sub two, and I love what Pace is doing. And I think he's a very intelligent man, and he can handle his obligations better than anybody. And so, my level of sophistication and Pace's level of sophistication that he's living in right now at the time when I was doing it aren't the same, right? I was young, I was disorganized, and I thought it would never end. But we were collecting leverage. We were collecting properties that had mortgages on them. And when the market tanked and the market turned, we couldn't debt service a lot of that. On top of that, our construction financing was all getting recalled because lending practices and lending standards had changed. And so these banks, even though they had given us construction loans to do these projects, and they recalled or wanted to requalify those loans. And I didn't realize that once a bank gave you a loan that they could change their mind.
Yeah. No
but they can. And so we just got caught. We got caught up in a system that we didn't understand. And leverage was not my friend. There's a lot of people that preach leverage being the most incredible, like for instance, Kiyosaki, he talks about being hundreds of millions of dollars in debt and it being the smartest thing that he could possibly do. And, because he doesn't pay any tax, and, people who pay taxes are communists, and all the, his position is that. And, to each their own. I think that if you want to live in a life where you gotta wake up and make a payment, you like every month you've got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments due. That means you got to generate all that cash that month to make those payments. Yeah. And if your tenant situations change or the rental market changes, and now you have a negative debt service situation where you owe more than you're gaining in income every month, that becomes problematic. And there's only a matter of time before that ends badly.
Right.
So how did I overcome it? I don't fuck with loans.
That's a good answer.
Glad to hear you say that, to be honest with you. So I kind of grew up in the Dave Ramsey sphere of influence until I don't know. It was almost like I put Dave against Robert Kiyosaki, and to me, Robert came out, in one way or another, a little bit shinier than Dave, and it was more so in the sense of I liked Dave for his kind of tried and true approach, because at the time we were just trying to, maintain the little finances that we had. There was no wealth or talks of any of that stuff. Then, bring in Robert Kiyosaki, and I'm like, whoa, my mind's blown. But then I keep hearing this whole talk about debt. And even Grant Cardone and all these guys, they're big on debt. And me, I've always been like gosh, there's got to be a way that you can do this without, I understand the point of leveraging other people's money, but just being so leveraged to where, I don't know, that was just scary to me. So it's a massive relief, brother, to hear you say that. Cause yes, you teach their own, and there's no real true blueprint to do this thing.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking what any of these guys do, right? Like my best friend, he's got a lot of leverage. He collects leverage as a business model, right? And he does a great job. He makes a ton of money, and he teaches a lot of people how to gain financial independence by collecting leverage. So is there anything wrong with it? No, it's just that level of stress. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to wake up and ever say, man, I got to work today because I got all these payments to make.
Right.
I can call it a day now. Today I could just say, I'm done. Nobody would be able to say anything to me because I don't owe anything on my house. I don't owe anything on my cars. I am debt free.
Beautiful.
Debt free. Got lots of cash in the bank. I got money coming in from investments that would pay my lifestyle every single month. I wouldn't need to do jack squat.
I can't wait for the day I'm debt free. College kicked my ass.
Right.
So,
man, well, thank you for that. I'd like to, maybe switch the thing and go a little bit more in the light side. What's what's other than that lesson, what's one of the greatest lessons that you've learned in real estate so far?
One of the greatest lessons that I've learned in real estate?
Yes, sir.
Or just in business?
Business. Yeah, let's go with business.
I think one of the greatest lessons I've learned in business is that the returns that you might expect that you can get are relational to what you think is possible.
That's good.
So think big.
Yeah, again, bigger targets, bigger returns, and you can get them. So I used to believe, and I was told, and we're all told, that anything better than an 8 to 10% return is criminal or like not true or too good to be true or impossible, right? And you want to know who tells us that? The people who want us never making more than that.
Yep. Sure.
Meanwhile, the banks, you give them $1, they lend out 10 on your dollar. And they charge interest on it.
Yep.
Think of that. You think they're making 8%? You think they're making 10%?
Way more. Interesting. What's your definition of success?
It's changed. It had a number on it once upon a time, and it doesn't anymore for me. I think that success, you never feel like you got it because you can chase money all you want, right? You can say, oh, I'm going to feel successful when I have $20 million. Okay. Get it. See how you feel. You're not going to feel successful because there's going to be a billionaire out there that's going to piss on you and you're going to feel like, oh, I got nothing. I'm pipsqueak. So that won't work. You could say success is going to be when I build an incredible company. Okay, cool. You're going to build an incredible company, and then there's going to be a Tesla out there that's going to piss on you, and you're going to realize, oh, you ain't done nothing. Okay, so that's not going to work. Success could say when I retire, when I don't have to work anymore. I get to just live free and go to the beach every day until that's your life. And that sucks after about 3 weeks. And then what? Because after 3 weeks of a holiday, I'm like, okay, get me out of this. I need back in the world, right? Put me back in.
So true.
So with that said, success to me now is once you find something that gives you purpose.
What do you find that gives you purpose?
Right now, it's been watching all of you guys crush it.
It's awesome.
Like that to me, it's like I don't even care about making 20 grand a day. I'm like, ooh, yay. But then if I hear you made 20 grand a day, that gets me off. That's like, yeah, cool. Because like I know I did something in your life and it meant more to you than it did me.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's an incredible answer. I'm just sitting here just locked the fuck in, just listening to like all this mindset, just soaking this stuff in. That was such a good answer.
It's real. It's just like, it's true. It's such an interesting phenomenon that happens to you when you get to that spot. You're like, oh wow, that's what that means. Got it. Like the dollar's never going to matter. It's like when you start to do things for other people and in your outward focus, like your success is based off of helping others and pushing other people and doing stuff for other folks. It's like, that is purpose. Like that's something that I can, even now, like I say it all the time, but like I could die now and I'd be super happy because I know that I had an impact on thousands of lives. And, I played the game well. I gave it my best.
Phenomenal, brother. Jamil, thank you so much for your time, man. And as we land the plane, so to speak, I'm just a couple kind of questions that we like to ask most guests, just to get a real good perspective, and what's one thing that you would, or what's a word of inspiration for a brand new wholesaler, someone getting started in our world?
Like a word of inspiration?
Yes, sir. Like a word of caution, word of inspiration. What's one thing you would like all new wholesalers getting into this world right now to know?
You're not working as hard as you think you are.
Damn.
Yeah. Period.
You're not. Nobody is.
Yep.
Even I am not. And I'm working damn hard. And I can still go harder. I can still do more. I can still be better. Just, get over this concept that like, oh my God, it's like the victim. Like, oh, I have a job and I only have a hand. It's like, those things are hilarious to me. Cause like you listen to like Tabitha, right? Tabitha was on our challenge today. And this girl, she's an ER nurse. She got 2 kids. She got a spouse. She's got all these responsibilities. Yet she still finds time to kick out 2 hours of work a day. And she makes $30,000 a month from just 2 hours a day of work.
Phenomenal.
And so like when I hear somebody come in and be like, every time I pick up the phone and I talk to an agent, they always say, I like, that's when I want to delete that person. Because I'm like, you are so full of shit.
Yeah.
Because you did something 5 times and you think that you deserve the world for it. That's the piece of it. You're brand new. That's what I want to tell you.
Awesome.
Do this 10,000 times and then complain.
Boom. Brother, what's your current message to the world? Real vague question, but I'd love to know if you could
meditate.
There you go.
That's it. You want to find peace? Meditate. You want to find your purpose? Meditate. You want to find your big idea? Meditate. You want to quit drinking? Meditate.
Meditation. Got it. Jamil, sir, again, thank you so much for your time, brother. I mean, this has been an invaluable lesson for us, and everyone who's watching and listening, I'm sure, is going to take some tremendous nuggets. And guys, listen to this podcast over and over and over again. I can promise you, there's no way in hell that you're going to get everything that Jamil said by listening to this thing once. Go and follow him, plug into his brain. This is a person that will lead you correctly, that will lead you in the right direction, especially in the world of wholesaling real estate. So Jamil, brother, from the bottom of Tanner and I's heart, we're so grateful for you. And we thank you so much for your time and energy on this show.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. Peace. What up, guys? Thank you for watching or listening to another episode. And look, here's the deal. If you got value out of today's episode, we kindly ask that you subscribe and like and get this bad boy going. And look, if you're in Florida, we're in Florida. That's our marketplace, and we want to help your deals get to the finish line. So if you got any deals that need help with dispo, send us an email. We're at deals@unwindinvestments.com. You can also submit it via our property submission form online at unwindinvestments.com/deals. And guys, we want you to be the next guest on our show. So get out there and hustle and grind, and let's get to work. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.